From KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Our top story tonight, a follow-up to breaking news we first brought you today at 5:30. 4 families are unable to sleep in their own beds tonight after a fire tore through their apartment complex near Marbach Road.
One neighbor tells the night team's Camille Juarez how he made a split-second decision that saved the people living around him.
Rudy Volato lives at the Marbach Park Apartments. Just before 5, he was smoking a cigarette outside his building when he saw flames rising from the building.
Bottom of the patios were on fire.
Volato was shocked by the flames but sprung into action. He had only one thought:
get everybody out.
Volato's quick thinking alerted multiple families to the fast-spreading flames. Some of those people were elderly and others had small children. The families we spoke to off-camera say they saw smoke coming into their rooms. One woman says her smoke detectors have worked in the past, but Volato's knocking alerted them to the fire. San Antonio fire officials say 8 units were impacted, 2 were a total loss.
2 buildings affected, but the fire crews did an excellent job, and we contained it real quick.
Nearly 16 fire trucks responded to the fire. The smoke and flames could be seen from a distance. A group of kids who live at the complex say they were playing outside and were frightened by the large fire.
I just feel bad for other people to be inside a fire.
The cause of the fire remains under investigation. San Antonio Fire is still out here investigating, and they tell us that no one was hurt in this fire, and the people who live here were able to pick up some of their belongings. The apartment complex is placing 4 families in new units tonight. Camille Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office has positively identified the 3 siblings involved in a Northeast Side fatal crash from last week. They are 22-year-old Evelyn Flores, 17-year-old Ivan Flores, and 10-year-old Julian Flores. That crash happened last Monday night around 10 p.m. on Thousand Oaks near Alamo Blanco. San Antonio police say their car was T-boned by an SUV. The car rolled over, slammed into a concrete base of a utility pole. The victim's family says they were on their way to the store at the time of the crash.
Well, a teenager is recovering tonight after being taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound. San Antonio police are still looking for the 2 suspects involved in that situation. The shooting happened just after 2 p.m. on Paso del Sur, not far from Meridia Street. When police got there, they found the 18-year-old had been shot in the leg. Witnesses told police the victim was in the car with the suspects when they got out of the vehicle and allegedly shot the teen before taking off. A witness was able to apply a tourniquet before EMS arrived.
A woman is suffering from life-threatening injuries tonight after being involved in a 2-vehicle crash over on the west side. It happened just before 11 a.m. on Vance Jackson Road, not far from UTSA Boulevard. San Antonio police say a Jeep T-boned a Mustang. The woman inside the Mustang was taken to the hospital. There were 3 people inside the Jeep. None of them were injured, and the driver, we're told, was checked out at the scene.
A scary scene overnight outside a nightclub in Houston. The Harris County Sheriff says 1 person is dead and 4 others are injured after a group of suspects wearing ski masks opened fire. The shooting happened around 2 a.m. at Lounge 33. The sheriff says it's unclear how many people were part of the group, but at least 50 shots were fired at people outside the club. 2 men and 3 women were hit and taken to the hospital, where one of those men died. His identity has not been released yet, nor the conditions of the other victims.
New on the Nightbeat, over the past several months, we've been closely following the construction along the St. Mary's Strip and the impact it's having on businesses there.
Yeah, but another area along North Flores near San Antonio College, it's facing its own problems.
Yeah, neighbors there and businesses tell the night team's Lee Waldman the road construction headache is too much to bear.
The shelves of Oscar de la Tienda,
Spice Girl SA, it's the best chili crisp oil I've ever had in my life,
are filled with local favorites. Owner Cynthia Gomez named the store after her father.
We were set to close on his birthday, so I knew I had to have a name that had Oscar in it.
She says the unique items inside are a reflection of the Alta Vista neighborhood that surrounds it. A neighborhood dealing with this mess.
So out of 18 months, 12 of them have been, well, nearly 12 of them have been one or more, or all of the roads have been blocked off.
Since opening in 2021, the roads surrounding her store on Flores and Russell Place have been torn up for needed repairs. And Gomez says it's affecting her bottom line.
It's a convenience store, margins are really thin, and you have to sell a lot of chips to pay a water bill. And we just don't have that kind of traffic.
Neighbors like Brandon McKelvey, who lives in the middle of the construction site, says he's fed up too.
I can't take my trash out. That was there was like a month there where it didn't come at all, and I have to walk across the neighbor's yard just to get to my car.
Megan Burrows and her 2 boys say they can't walk their neighborhood anymore because of the closures.
We love to play at San Pedro Springs Park, and so we used to go past the bodega, you know, on our way there or on our way back or both, and now we can't, so we have to go all the way around and walk on the busy road.
They're also worried about the neighborhood store, nervous their lifeline won't survive with what feels like construction that won't end.
If this construction puts that at risk, it will certainly affect us.
And now this is like become a little pillar of our little mini community here. So yeah, it would be a huge loss.
According to Public Works, this project is supposed to be completed by this summer. They're improving the drainage system, reconstructing the roads, sidewalks, and curbs. Gomez says she knows this is an important project, but wishes that more could be done to help her neighbors and her business. Live in the Alta Vista neighborhood, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Lee, thank you. Well, today would have been Martin Luther King Jr.'s 94th birthday if he were still alive.
And tomorrow will be the day that we celebrate his birthday as a federal holiday, the 37th year for that. But today, President Joe Biden made history, kicking off the MLK celebrations by being the first sitting president to speak at the Sunday services at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta.
The president was invited to the Georgia church by its current senior pastor, Reverend Raphael Warnick, who just recently won re-election to the U.S. Senate. The president told the congregation the past actions of the civil rights icon were a guide to the nation's future.
He said, "Where do we go from here?" That's a quote. Where do we go from here? Well, my message to the nation on this day is we go forward. We go together. When we choose democracy over autocracy, a beloved community over chaos.
The president's speech, just one of the many ways the nation is remembering Dr. King. In Boston, the Embrace sculpture was unveiled, honoring King and his late wife, Coretta Scott King. In Washington, fifth graders reread the powerful words of King's I Have a Dream speech. It is an annual event there. Here locally, several MLK events leading up to the big march tomorrow. People waking up early this morning to participate in the Young Men's Leadership Academy 5K run, a fundraiser event, a part of the official Dream Week celebrations. That race started at 9 a.m. at MLK Park. Despite it being called a run, everyone is encouraged to come out, whether they were runners or walkers, and top competitors received medals.
Later this evening around 2 p.m., people showed their support for Dr. King at the annual wreath-laying ceremony. It happened at the MLK statue on East Houston and North New Braunfels streets. The ceremony aims to honor Dr. King's life struggles and accomplishments. Several guest speakers took a moment to talk about what those accomplishments meant to them.
And that's not all, of course. The final preparations underway tonight for the annual MLK March.
The MLK Commission is expecting a huge turnout since it will be the first in-person march since 2020. Members believe at least 100,000 people will make their way to the east side to honor the life and legacy of the civil rights leader. The theme this year, Together We Can Be the Dream. The last time the march was held in person, around 300,000 people participated.
The commission lobbied and received an extra $200,000 from City Council. The additional funds were used to improve logistics coordination, to upgrade staging, and incorporate more activities. The chairman of the MLK Commission says diversity is the key that makes San Antonio's march stand out from all the other marches across the country.
As long as we're still around, his dream will continue to exist and to be manifested. But I honestly would say, though, that there are some things that are going on today that Dr. King would truly be disappointed in. So we still have work to do.
The MLK March starts at 10 a.m. in front of the Martin Luther King Jr. Academy on MLK Drive. The march will end at Pittman Sullivan Park on Iowa Street, where a celebration with music, food, and plenty of speakers will then kick off. You can expect KSAT to be there for live coverage, both on air and online. And Mia, Everyone participating tomorrow, of course, wants to know what the weather is going to be for that.
Exactly. Not too bad. It'll be a little muggy in the mornings, but more sunshine in the afternoon, helping those temperatures climb into the unseasonably warm upper 70s and low 80s. So yes, warmer than where we should be, but all things considered, not too bad out there. Look outside with live cam. Not a whole lot going on. Winds have settled down compared to the pretty windy conditions that we saw earlier this morning. Wind gusts in the range of about 25 to 30 miles per hour at times. It was a bit of a warmer day out there today compared to what we saw yesterday. The high here in San Antonio, 75 degrees, which is about 12 degrees above the average high for this time of year. Dew points a little bit higher than where we were this time yesterday, which means some patchy fog will be possible first thing tomorrow. We'll start off in the 50s and low 60s, and then as we see that sunshine into the afternoon, those highs climb into the upper 70s and a few low 80s. We'll have a full preview at our Martin Luther King Jr. Day forecast tomorrow, plus what we're monitoring this week in just a few.
From heavy rainfall to whiteout snow conditions, coast to coast, feeling the impact of severe weather conditions. We have video of the damage and information on lives lost. Plus, El Paso becoming a busy area as more migrants try to seek asylum into the U.S. How the latest high-profile visitor hopes to add more assistance to the situation.
And it was a pretty close call between two commercial jets in New York, and it's now leading to a bigger investigation. We'll tell you just how close those two planes came to colliding right after this.
Officials with the Aviation Administration are investigating a close call at a New York airport Friday night between a plane that was crossing a runway and another that was preparing for takeoff.
Now, there were no injuries and both flights eventually continued on their way, but aviation analysts say this could have been a major disaster and an investigation is now underway.
ABC's Mona Kosar Abdi breaks down the moments ahead of this close call as a passenger on one of those planes opens up about it.
Friday night, a frantic call from air traffic control at New York's Kennedy Airport to get a Delta Airlines Boeing 737 to abort its takeoff.
Delta 1943, cancel takeoff clearance.
The controller noticing an American Airlines plane, a Boeing 777, heading to London, was crossing the same runway.
American 106 Heavy, possible pilot deviation. Ready to copy.
The Delta plane accelerating to 115 miles per hour down the runway, forced to abruptly abort takeoff. The two planes missing each other by just 1,000 feet, according to the FAA.
All right, and the Delta 1943.
Brian Healy was on board the Delta flight.
Everyone's torso sort of was thrust forward. I will never not wear my seatbelt on a plane.
Air traffic control telling the American pilot he did not have clearance to be on that runway.
You were supposed to depart runway 4 left. You're currently holding short of 31 left.
The Delta plane returned to the gate with its 145 passengers and 6 crew members and deplaned. Their flight to the Dominican Republic eventually departed Saturday morning. Brian Healy decided to stay home.
All the facts haven't come out about what went wrong and who made an error, but I'm just very grateful that the judgment calls that air traffic control made and that our pilot made were the right ones.
And the FAA has already launched an investigation into this near collision. The NTSB also plans to launch one as well. Mona Kosar Abdi, ABC News, JFK International Airport.
Sticking with air travel here for a moment, it has been nearly a year since the Federal Aviation Administration has had a permanent administrator. But Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is trying to change that. He says he will push to get President Biden's choice confirmed to lead that agency. The FAA and the airline industry have come under fire in recent days. Just last week, of course, the agency ordered a full ground stop for all flights because of a computer problem. The president has nominated Philip Washington for that post. He is currently the CEO of Denver International Airport, but critics say Washington does not have an awful lot of aviation experience.
All right, well, here's something you don't expect to find at the beach. It's being described as a creepy eel-like creature. That's according to Suzanne Arsenault, who found it and captured the photo you're looking at. She's a frequent visitor of Port Boulevard Beach in Galveston Bay and has seen an array of animals, dead or alive, but this is something she's never seen before. She posted the picture in a Facebook group and was told it was a snapper eel. According to the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute, they can grow up to 6 feet long. And they're carnivores.
Nightmares.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. It's a little creepy.
Not what you want.
Yeah.
It's gross.
What I want to see on the beach.
It's gross.
Plenty of sunshine down on the beach, it looked like.
Yep, probably was a little windy over there too. It's always windy at the beach though, right? Here it was windy today as well. In fact, we had peak wind gusts generally in the range of about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Some of us actually clocked in some peak wind gusts closer to 35 miles per hour here in San Antonio, at least officially over at SA International. 31 miles per hour wind gust was the peak that we saw out there today. Check out Gonzales as well as New Braunfels, close to 40 miles per hour out there earlier this afternoon. Now, those wind gusts have calmed down a bit for the most part here this Sunday night. Still a little breezy out there up in the Canyon Lake area, stretching over to Gonzales. What that south wind was really doing for us today, pumping in more of that Gulf moisture and humidity. Dew points are higher right now compared to where we were this time last night, in the 50s, even approaching 60 in a few areas. So essentially, we're nearing that point where you can just start to feel it a little bit more when you do step outdoors. Because those winds will continue to calm through the overnight hours, we've got that moisture in place. It is possible that we find some areas of patchy fog out there first thing tomorrow morning. So just something to keep in mind if you are stepping out for any of those Monday morning plans. Visibility could be reduced in a few areas. So not a bad idea to give yourself a little bit of extra time. Let's talk temperatures. Again, this afternoon, it was an unseasonably warm day, especially compared to yesterday where we topped off in the mid 60s. It was closer to the seasonal average. Today was a bit warmer than that. Right now we are in the 60s in and around the San Antonio area. 64 here in town, 62 up in Bulverde, 65 on the south side of Bexar County over at Stinson, 64 over in Hondo. Through the overnight hours, as we start to see a little bit more of that low level cloud cover develop, as well as some areas of patchy fog, temperatures likely not going to be able to drop a whole bunch, especially compared to the cold 20s and 30s that we woke up to in some spots Friday morning and into Saturday morning. I think we'll start off near that 60-degree mark here in San Antonio. A few 50s certainly possible outside of Bexar County. And then as we head into the late morning hours, we start to see some of that patchy fog and low-level cloud cover break up. Then those temperatures start to warm. We're near about 70 degrees by 11 a.m. into the mid-70s into the early afternoon hours. And then I do think we'll find a bit more sunshine as we head into our Monday afternoon. Overall, there are those warmer than average temperatures. Daytime highs look to top off in the upper 70s and low 80s. Around 80 here in San Antonio, 79 in Canyon Lake, 81 down in Floresville in Wilson County, 82 in Sabinal, and 81 over in Utopia. Still muggy out there, especially throughout the first half of the day tomorrow. But what we'll look to find by tomorrow afternoon, a weak boundary that's going to move in from the northwest, and especially for our western counties, even stretching into Bexar County, a little bit of a break in the humidity certainly possible. That lasts until Tuesday morning. Then that boundary washes out and we see more of that moisture once again move back in. But because of that slight break in dew points, Tuesday morning could be slightly cooler than what we're expecting to find out there tomorrow. In the low 50s here in town, some high clouds filter through. Overall, mostly sunny. Temperature still warmer than average. We're near about 81. Wednesday, though, is when we're expecting another front to work its way into south central Texas. Not widespread, substantial rain, unfortunately, associated with this next weather maker, but especially in the mornings, it is possible that we find a few isolated showers. Better chances of finding that the farther east that you go. Right now here in town, we'll call it a 20%, and we'll keep eyes on that over the next couple of days. Then into Thursday and Friday, drier air moves in, more comfortable, and temperatures just slightly cooler, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Mia.
A little bit of everything.
Yep.
Greg Simmons has a preview of Instant Replay right after this. Dallas Cowboys prepare to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road to open the NFL playoffs live on Monday Night Football right here on KSAT. With more of what's on Instant Replay tonight, let's check in with that.
If you had to guess what will happen, what do you think?
One and done.
Oh, okay. I'll go the other way, Cowboys. And should the Cowboys win, who will they play next? We've got highlights from every single NFL playoff game coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
Yeah, go Cowboys! Let's go! Woo!
The Dallas Cowboys have arrived in Tampa for the start of the playoffs. A lot of questions. Can they beat a Tom Brady team for the very first time? Which quarterback shows up for Dallas? The Dak Prescott who ran over the Minnesota Vikings 40-3, or the Dak Prescott who gave us the worst performance of his career in the 26-6 loss to the Commanders last week? And should the Cowboys lose, is it the last time we see Ezekiel Elliott wearing the star?
Barkley muscling forward. Barkley, what an effort, and he is in. Touchdown, New York.
And if the Cowboys are able to advance to the divisional round of the playoffs next weekend, who will they face? We have highlights from all the NFL games played for you this weekend. Find out. It's awesome. What a night in Spurs history. Their 50th anniversary celebration draws an NBA record 68,323 fans to the Alamo Dome. What are some of those memorable moments? The Sports Guys sound off live from San Antonio and Tampa, Florida tonight. All that plus the Spurs are back on the court to face the Sacramento Kings tonight. We go one-on-one with Tony Parker. It is Mike McCarthy's job on the line. Should the Cowboys be one and done in the playoffs again? Tonight, you decide. Instant replay is live, and it's right after the night beat.
I clarify, prefer the Cowboys.
You prefer, right.
We've seen Brady do Brady things too many times.
7 straight, actually, right?
Thanks, Greg. Still to come on the Night Beat, it was a life-changing day for many families in Uvalde, but for this little girl, it was the day she learned her voice can move mountains, why she identifies as an activist at just the age of 10 years old.
And parts of California still dealing with the aftermath of heavy flooding. See new video from rescues to recovery efforts on the West Coast.
And New York City's mayor is seeing the situation at the border up close for himself after visiting El Paso today. What he's demanding the Biden administration do that will not only help New York, but also Texas.
Now to the crisis on the border with Mexico. New York is one of the cities hundreds of migrants have been flown to from the Texas-Mexico border.
And today, New York City's mayor seen the situation at the Texas border with his own eyes in hopes of getting more federal assistance.
ABC's Phil Lipoff shows us what sites the border visit offered.
This morning, New York City Mayor Eric Adams touring the southern border in El Paso and asking the federal government for emergency funding for New York City. The mayor speaking this week with Caribbean Power Jam Radio.
And I really believe it's irresponsible that we have not had a real national response to what's happening at our border.
And New York City isn't alone. Denver, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., among other cities, asking for similar emergency help. Governors from Texas, Arizona, Florida, and Colorado have been busing migrants out of their states. Adams says he can no longer afford to shelter more migrants. 40,000 coming to New York City since the spring, a record 800 in one day, 3,100 last week alone. Shelters in New York City at their limits, so this 28-story, 1,300-room luxury hotel is being used to house migrants, some seeking asylum. Still, Adams says more is needed to house, feed, and educate migrants. He says it will cost the city between $1.5 and $2 billion, and he's only received $10 million in federal aid.
The strain on our infrastructure is just immense.
President Biden visiting the border last week, meeting with El Paso's mayor amid a crisis now not just in border states, but across the country as well.
And that was Phil Lipoff reporting. As a reminder, back in late December, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled the Biden administration must keep Title 42 in place. That limits the number of migrants seeking asylum. Justices will hear arguments come February.
To international news, the people of Nepal are dealing with the aftermath of a plane crash where at least 68 people were killed. It's being described as the deadliest plane crash in Nepal in more than 30 years. Dramatic video showing Yeti Airlines Flight 691 coming into land, quickly swerving to the left and then crashing into a river. The plane bursting into flames, witnesses calling emergency services after hearing the explosion. That aircraft was reportedly equipped with an old transponder with unreliable data. It's unclear right now what caused that crash. Following the crash, Yeti Airlines canceled all of its flights for Monday, and Nepal's prime minister declared Monday a day of national mourning.
A Chicago woman now reunited with her sister's ashes after being surprised that they were found in the back of a U-Haul truck. Laura Rodriguez, the youngest sister of a family with 11 siblings, died in December 2021. The family gave Laura's ashes to her boyfriend, who had taken care of her while she battled cancer. But Laura's family members had no idea that the ashes had even disappeared. That led to a search by U-Haul staff to find the family.
They asked me first if I was a relative of Laura, and I said, yes, I am. And then they just told me this just strange thing that didn't make no sense, that my sister's ashes were on some U-Haul truck. And I'm like, oh my God.
One U-Haul employee says Rodriguez's boyfriend was there earlier Friday to claim the ashes, but was in so much distress he suffered a cardiac episode and was taken by first responders to the hospital. Her sister Maria hopes he's okay and can reach out to her soon.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill continuing to react to the latest revelations about classified documents found at President Joe Biden's home. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the appointment of a special counsel to investigate how the president handled classified documents after leaving the vice presidency in 2017. Democrats say they support Garland's decision, and while some are calling the situation embarrassing for the president, they are quick to contrast Biden's case with that of former President Trump. That is, he is also being investigated for possible mishandling of classified materials. In the meantime, House Republicans have now launched their own probes.
We need to get to the bottom of this so that we don't see this kind of thing happen again.
The American people see how President Trump's been treated on one hand, and they want to see a sense of fairness.
The chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Kentucky Congressman James Comer, has written to the White House requesting visitor logs from President Biden's home in Wilmington and that they be turned over by January 30th. So far, the White House has not responded.
From torrential rains and gusty winds in the west to deadly tornadoes in the south, flooding concerns for more than 26 million people in California. The precipitation bringing snow to the mountains. ABC's Derek Dennett shows us the extreme weather being felt in different parts of the country.
Dramatic video from Orange County, California, where rescue crews used a helicopter to drop down and pull a young woman from a swollen creek in Laguna Hills. She was hanging onto a tree in the fast-moving water. That creek and rivers like it overflowing with water from a deluge of rain that once again swept through the state, causing more flooding Saturday. And take a look at this bolt of lightning in San Francisco, striking the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance. In the Sierra Nevada mountains, more snow, whiteout conditions near the California-Nevada border forced part of Interstate 80 to close. Several feet of snow has already fallen in the area, and another 3 to 6 feet is expected on the ground by Monday morning. That atmospheric river bringing moisture from the Pacific Ocean has been walloping the west since last month and killed at least 17 people. In the south, crews are searching for survivors after tornadoes touched down in 7 states, leaving at least 9 people dead, many from Autauga County, just north of Montgomery, Alabama. Julia Jackson knew one of the victims.
Just took him out of his trailer and just, like a rag doll, just spin him around and threw him down. All I can do is just cry. It hurts so bad to see my community like this.
Forecasters say the storm out west now will move east, bringing rain and possible snow to the northeast later this week. Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
Yeah, pretty scary and extreme weather out there along the west coast and even across portions of the deep south. Here in South Central Texas, it has pretty much been the opposite story. Besides a little bit of wind out there earlier today, things have been relatively calm and quiet. Do wish we would at least be able to find a little bit of rain out there. Our next chance, a small one, does move in on Wednesday. Quick look at the almanac data for today. A low of 48. A little chilly out there this morning, but not as cold as what we saw out there yesterday morning and Friday morning. A high of 75. So again, above average. That's going to be the trend that continues through at least the first half of the upcoming week before we see that weak front move in on Wednesday. Temperatures right now in the 60s across the board here in San Antonio, and as of right now, no issues out there in terms of visibility, but with that humidity pumping in, these numbers may be a bit lower by wake up time tomorrow. Another full look at our MLK Junior Day forecast tomorrow, plus a look at that small rain chance on Wednesday in a few.
All right, Mia, we'll look forward to it. It's a random bunch of films on the big screen this weekend. Action, animated, suspense, and, of course, Avatar. But which one put the most butts in seats? We'll have a look at your weekend box office results.
That's the technical term.
That is,
right?
it is.
Okay, cool. So she's using her voice to advocate for lives lost in Uvalde. We'll introduce you to this 10-year-old activist and show you who she's honoring by being a voice for change.